Welcome back everybody. Let's have a look at some of my top HODL coins. So those who watch my channel, I do trade. I've been a trader for many years now. But on top of that, I do work. So I enjoy my work. I'm a professional, so it's not a career that I want to give up. But it does limit a lot of my time, and by doing that, I like to trade, but I also, I think it's the safest thing is to pick certain coins to HODL or essentially invest in. So I'm going to let you know which coins I am investing in, that I'm HODLing for, and what my estimated time frame for my cash out would be for those coins. So first of all, we'll obviously start with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the most obvious because it's the safest and it's the leader. Obviously, there's more money in Bitcoin than there is in any of the other cryptocurrencies. It's likely to be like that for a very long time, if not maybe forever. But for the moment, it's the safest bet. Now, when we're talking about investing, there's no such thing as a really safe investment. Things can happen, anything can happen. We don't know what the future holds for Bitcoin. Bitcoin could completely completely collapse, and you'd lose all your money. So this isn't financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm letting you know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So Bitcoin is one that I like to accumulate, and I accumulate a lot of this by trading, because I trade on platforms like Bybit, and if you're interested in that, there's a link below where you can set yourself up. But basically, all the sort of gains that you make, from the margin trading, is in Bitcoin. So you essentially accumulate by default. So that's basically my number one safest asset to invest in for a long-term HODL. Now the payout for this, I would expect, if you believe in the 4-year cycle, which I kind of still do believe in that 4-year cycle, we've got another 2 years before this reaches its ultimate top. So around about end of December 2021, that's when I'll be looking to turn all this money from Bitcoin into fiat currency. I won't really be interested in holding it any longer than that. I'll be quite happy to cash out at that time, because I know that it's likely to collapse in on itself shortly after, as would the rest of the market. So all of these coins, apart from one coin that I'm going to talk about, I'm going to be holding till December 2021 and cashing out probably when Bitcoin reaches, and this is what I expect it to reach $100,000 in December 2021. So that is my plan. Next coin is Chainlink. Now Chainlink is probably, one of the safest bets. Maybe, like I say, it's all depending on Bitcoin, but Chainlink has shown itself, as we look here on the tether pairing, to have gained incredible value just over this last year. Now, if you don't know much about the crypto market, what happened this year is that we launched around about this time. This is where we had our original launch with the entire market, and most coins really did see spectacular gains until around this level here, where it all came crashing down, and a lot of top coins actually came back down to where they started from. Chainlink did far from that. If we look at where we came from, where we came back down to, we made gains at the beginning of the year of over 1,000% up. When we came back down again, we came back down to this level. We saw a retracement of 67% of its value, which might sound a lot, but when we were talking about the rest of the market, they retraced a lot further than that, from top to bottom. And the most important thing to note is that still from top to bottom here, if it came down from this bottom level here another 73%, it would have retraced. It didn't do that, so it held its value extremely well, and it's now making bold moves to get back up to its all-time high, which is its all-time high. It's never been this value before. It's likely to be doing that very soon. So it's a really good coin for me to invest in. It's got enormous networks, so it's even linked with Google and many others. Then that's the fundamental side of it. But me personally, I look at how it held its value during this most recent squeeze, and it held its value better than most, if not one of the best coins that held its value. So that one to me is going to be a good long-term HODL. I would expect this coin to probably do maybe a 15 to 20x from its current level here, if not more. So perhaps maybe by 2021 I'll be looking at around about a $25 to perhaps maybe even $50 Chainlink, and that's when I'll be cashing out anyway. It'll be around about, again, same as Bitcoin, December 2021. I would expect to see a $50, a possible $50 Chainlink. And we look at it here with its Satoshi value, so this is how it measures up against Bitcoin, and this is the most interesting thing to look at, to be honest, for Chainlink. We see that actually it makes bolder moves than Bitcoin most of this year, showing that it's much stronger than Bitcoin, it's a much bigger gainer than Bitcoin, and that is probably one of the main reasons anyone would really want to invest in it. It holds its value during bear trends, and when it goes bullish, it's stronger and faster than Bitcoin. So, kind of a no-brainer to move on to that one. The next one we're looking at here, this is Binance Coin. So Binance Coin got a bit of a bad rap. It depends how you feel about Binance as an organisation. Me personally, I don't really have any hate for Binance. I quite like Binance for what it is. It's the leader. It's you know, there's nothing really wrong with it. Yeah, there might be some dodgy things going on behind the scenes, but that's life. So Binance Coin, you know, is obviously the native currency to the exchange of Binance. There's a lot of perks for you holding the Binance Coin. You can take part in lottery events where if you have a certain amount of Binance coins, you could buy the first initial coin offering of new things that come to the platform. And if you don't know about what that is, it basically is where you can buy coins that haven't yet been sold on any exchange. They're coming onto Binance for the first time. You buy them at what would consider to be a reduced rate, or its entry price. And what usually happens is that there's a huge pump and then a dump. So it's most of the time, in fact, I believe all of the time, it's an extremely lucrative thing to get involved in these ICO coins, just for the initial pump and dump. So you buy a lot of those coins just from holding the Binance Coin. If you're lucky enough to win the lottery of that, you basically just sell it, sell it straight away. So it's not so good for the currency in question, for the token in question, but it's definitely good for your bank account, I would say. So there's incentive for people to hold Binance Coin. Also, you have reduced fees on the Binance platform if you hold the Binance Coin. It's 50%, I believe. So every time you make a trade, if you spend the Binance Coin for the cost of your transaction, it's a 50% reduction that it would if you were to be not holding any Binance Coin. So they have incentive for you to hold that, which means that there's going to be a lot of it in people's wallets for those kind of reasons. And also, we look at where it came from at the beginning of the year. It went crazy. I mean, we're looking at it here, Binance to USDT. It went all the way up to almost $40. But where did it come from? All the way back down to just around about 4. So it already did a 10x once this year. The problem that I've got with Binance Coin is something you've just got to be aware of, is that unfortunately Binance wasn't able to trade in the US for a short period of time, and it suffered as a result of that. Binance itself is a centralized exchange, which means that its main source of business goes through the exchange of Binance. And for whatever reason, if America decide that they don't want anyone trading with Binance because it's Chinese, and there's politics always involved with these sort of things, that will basically mean that the utilization of the Binance coin itself becomes completely redundant in America or any other country that decide they don't want to use it. So it doesn't have utilization outside of the exchange of Binance, which means that one bad political move could devalue the currency, devalue the token, should I say, pretty much overnight. So there is a risk involved in that sense of it. However, if you put that aside and just think, well, yes, there is risk there, but what is the likely outcome of just this token moving up in general over time? It's got more utilization than a lot of coins because it's been traded with, and it's as a native pairing currency on Binance, it's like I say, it's going to hold more value than most because there's more people holding that coin for a variety of reasons. Plus, they do burn those tokens too, so there will be eventually over the years a lesser and lesser number of the Binance coins. It's essentially a built-in inflation tool. So, like I say, it's one of the ones that I do hold quite a lot of, and it's just for those purposes. Next on the list, Ethereum. So we're looking at Ethereum now on a daily time frame here. This is all the way back in 2018 where we made a massive peak. This was its all-time high around about $1,432. We came crashing all the way back down to this level here, all the way down to $80, which was fine because that's the nature of the market. Since we've been picking up though, we've been okay. We've been moving alongside Bitcoin. So from that level to that level, we've done pretty good, and we've retraced significantly like all other coins. So you can see how my first coins that I was looking at, like Chainlink, look a lot stronger than this. But one thing you've got to remember, if you're new to this, Ethereum is the second largest market cap, so there's more money involved with Ethereum than any other altcoin out there. That means there's high liquidity, there's a lot of interest in the coin, and it basically is, I wouldn't say a safe investment, but safer than most. It essentially trends alongside Bitcoin and the alt market itself, and whatever moves it decides to do, it does encourage all the rest of the altcoins to move with it as well. Now the reason I accumulate this one is that I do believe that eventually, when it comes down to it, there's going to be a few top players in the altcoin market, and one of those top players for years, decades to come, until the end of blockchain itself, will be Ethereum. So Ethereum has a 2.0 release date at some point next year, where it essentially utilises its own proof of stake nodes, where basically it's going to encourage people to hold on to those Ethereums, not trade them as much, because you'll be earning interest on your Ethereum for having a certain amount of Ethereum. I'm not entirely sure how many it is. I think it might be as many as 35, or it could be more. I'm not entirely sure, but basically there's an incentive to hold on to those Ethereum. It will become more profitable to hold on to them than to trade it, and its growth will grow astronomically next year when that takes place. This will easily be reaching, I would say, next year. I would probably say at some point next year we'll be looking at close to $1,000 Ethereum. It's difficult to chart something like this when you're looking at a chart like this. You can't really draw that in realistically off the back of these kind of moves, but fundamentally Ethereum is going to pretty much moon basically next year because of that, and it's those sort of things that will encourage the growth of the rest of the market, but Ethereum will be the pioneer. It'll be the front runner of all of those. We look at Ethereum versus Bitcoin. It doesn't look very strong. It doesn't look like Chainlink, for instance. It looks pretty weak. I mean, it is weak in comparison to Bitcoin. You can see just making lower lows basically most of the time. But again, when I'm talking fundamentally what's going to be taking place next year, this chart will pick up, and it will start to look a little bit more like this basically. Next on the list is pretty much my favourite, which is Matic, and for the same reason as Ethereum. Matic is, if you don't know what it is, just very briefly, it's a layer 2 solution. So one of the problems that Ethereum has, and Ethereum is, like I say, the largest altcoin out there, and it's going to be around for a very, very long time. I can't really imagine any other coin surpassing it in its market cap or its functionality. The only problem it has is that all the apps that run through it, because there's so many of them, because it is the leader, do have a bit of a delay when it comes to making actual transactions through the Ethereum blockchain. So the need for a layer 2 solution to speed those up, there's been several of them out, but the most popular and one of the newest actually is Matic Network. So Matic Network is basically it's pinned with Ethereum. So whatever Ethereum is going to be doing in the future after this Ethereum 2.0, I would expect Matic to benefit from that just through default. And the more popular that Ethereum becomes with its partners and apps that use it, its dApps that use it, the more likely that they will be using the Matic token on the side chain to speed up their transactions. So that is one of the coins that I expect the biggest growth from. And it might sound a bit crazy to say it now, but I would expect overall with Matic token, with the value that it's at right now, we could be looking at about a 50 times its value by the end of 2021, which is where I'm looking to cash out all of these. So by December 2021, we should be looking at maybe at least a 25, possibly 50, but maybe even close to 100x of where it is right now, which I know sounds absolutely unbelievable, completely ridiculous, but that is where I believe it will be. I'll be very surprised if it doesn't do at least a 50x from between now and the next 2 years. And the very last one that I've got for you, and this one is a real wild card. Okay, this isn't anything that I would expect anyone to invest in. And you know, I am not a financial advisor. It's not financial advice, but like I say, this is a wild card. It's a little bit of a gamble, and it is the KIN token. Okay, so KIN isn't on Binance, so we can't look at it on that chart. But what we see here, we're on Coinmarketcap, and this is it. Its entire history on Coinmarketcap here, and it looks abysmal. It looks absolutely tragic. It looks terrible. Looks awful, in fact. It looks absolutely terrible. But there's one thing that attracts me to it, and that's not just its price. Its price is so low that it's got 5 decimal points in front of it. It's 0.000005 USD. So it's next to worthless at the moment. It's pretty much got no value whatsoever. You could pick up millions of these for just $100. The problem I have with it, first of all, is that it's got an enormous circulating supply, 10 trillion circulating supply, so it will never be able to gain much value because of that. It used to be connected to the Kik app, which I believe has closed down just recently. There's also a court case that is in the pipeline regarding KIN and Kik, where they the SEC basically are looking to sue them and take sue them for millions of dollars for selling these essentially in an unregulated way, which KIN deny doing, and they're going to be fighting them in court eventually. But the court case has not even begun yet. It's been in the pipeline for over a year, I believe. So that is certainly a player in one of the reasons why it is not gathering any value at the moment. So there's two main reasons why it's lost all its value and it's not gained anything this year. There's been a few little blips in the here and there, but generally it's not been making any significant or any gains at all. One thing I'm most interested in with KIN is that at one point, probably not now, but at one point they were the most used cryptocurrency ever. There was more transactions of KIN going on a daily basis than there were any other cryptocurrency, and that was mainly because it was being used as a currency within apps, basically mainly the Kik app, which is now closed. Now their goal is to have it inbuilt into all kinds of other apps, similar to the way that Libra, the Facebook token, when that comes out, similar to the way that Libra wants to be used, but on a larger scale. Libra looks a little bit more professional in the sense that it wants to come out with major players like Visa and PayPal and all these others, whereas KIN would be used as a token within other platforms, and they are being used within other platforms as well. I think one of their main goals is to be using KIN within gaming apps as essentially a currency within apps, and that is their main goal. Now for this price, like I say, it wouldn't take much to get you a few million of those. If you were to spend, I believe, $100, you'd probably get around 10 million or more. but there's a chance that this could even have another decimal place in front of it in the next few months, and becoming even more worthless. Like I say, I actually first bought some when it was almost 3 times more valuable than it is now. Just a few hundred, $200. No, yeah, $200 I spent, and so obviously I am down significantly on that investment. But this is the coin that I would be holding for the longest period of time, as the blockchain technology comes into force and become more widely recognised. If their business plan kicks in probably it's likely to be gaining quite significantly. So, like I say, if you held 100 million of these and it becomes a penny, you'd be a millionaire, you know. And it wouldn't take much to invest in that to get to that stage. Now, it's not going to be worth a penny anytime soon, which is why this is one of those investments that I'll just be buying and holding for a very, very, very long time, way past the 2021 mark area, and it's a coin that I'm not prepared to invest much money in. So far I've only put $200 in when it was worth 3 times more than it is now, and next time I get a YouTube payout, I'm probably going to put that into this as well, and that'll be me done. I'll just leave it, and I'll probably at that point I'll have about 25 million of these kin tokens, and I'll just sit and leave those for the next 5 to perhaps maybe 10 years, and see where it goes. So like I say, it's a wild card. It's ranked 391 at the moment, which is really way down the list. But there are a lot of other worse ones with pretty much next to no business plan involved. So it's a gamble, it's a wild card, but if it does pay off, we're not talking about 100x, we could be talking about 1000x. And that sounds quite appealing to me. If you've got a bit of spare change knocking around, you know, why not take that risk? You know, if you're a gambling person or whatever, you know, you might as well just gamble on something like this, because it is a gamble. There's nothing when you look at the chart, and like I say, I do trade. There's nothing when you look at the chart to say that this is going anywhere other than down. But you've got to be in it to win it, and like I say, if you're prepared to wait 5 to 10 years for an investment to pay out, you know, you're not going to miss $100, are you? You're not going to miss $100 or $200 at all. That's less than, you know, $5 a month that you'll be putting into something. You just put it all in on one go. So like I say, it's my wild card. It's the one that could come out the most, but it's certainly the one that I invest the least amount of money in, because it is a real gamble. Anyway, I'm going to leave it with you there. I hope you found that in some way interesting. Like I say, I'm not a financial advisor. It's not financial advice. This is just where I put my money. This is why I put my money into these ones. They are all, apart from kin, going to have a good couple of years, unless the market falls out. Some of these coins, like I say, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Binance Coin, probably, and Link and Matic are all relatively good, sturdy coins to invest in. There's so many coins out there, and they've all got different functionalities. But those are the top 5 for me. And then as a little bonus item, this kin coin is just my gamble. It's my little secret. Not a secret anymore, because I've told you all about it, but like I say, those are the coins that I've invested in. And if you have any other coins that you feel should have been on my list, please let me know. I'm more than happy to invest a little more into something else. But for the moment, they're my investments, they're the ones I'll be holding, and most of those I'll be holding for the next 2 years, apart from kin, which I could see myself holding for at least 10. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have a nice day, and take it easy.